Hey, what's up, friends? Welcome back to the channel. As always, my name is Anton, and today we're going to be returning to Annie Lennox. So she was voted back on the channel by you guys on the Discord. And yeah, this is a big shout out to Francis on the Patreon for requesting this song. And this is A Whiter Shade of Pale remastered, which I appreciate. So yeah, obviously Annie Lennox is she's a top for me on the channel. I think she's probably top 15. Like, for sure. And you guys might be like, oh, only top 15? I'm like, I've done how many artists on the channel? Probably 300 artists. So for being in the top 15, that's exceptional. I think Annie Lennox is incredible. But there's a lot of amazing artists out there. But anyway, before we get into this one, as always, if you guys have any song requests for me and you want to vote on what artists come on the channel every single week, like we did with Annie Lennox, join everybody in the Discord, link down below. And if you want guaranteed song requests like Francis, and you want to check out all of our full album reactions like we're doing right now to Savage Garden's Affirmation, join everybody in the Patreon, also linked down below. And that's it. So let's get into Annie Lennox, A Whiter Shade of Pale. She loves that specific kind of keyboard sound. That's a really nice horse.
Skip the life and angle, turn cartwheels across the floor. I was feeling kinda seasick. The crowd called out for more. The room was humming harder as the ceiling flew away. When we call out for another just ghostly, turn a wider shade of pale.
Okay, before we get into this next part of the song, how it's evolving, but a couple comments, just because we haven't actually done Annie Lennox in a while. I think the last one we did was No More I Love Yous, correct? And yeah, I don't think I've heard Annie Lennox in months. And I think I forgot just how rich her voice is. Like, especially in this mix, the way they've mixed it is like her voice is like everywhere. Like the way they mix is her voice. Like a lot of the time people's voices in the mix is like very defined. It's like, it's here, right? But her voice is like, it's there, but then it almost has like this like energy permeating from it that's like dissipating, where in the mix her voice is located in kind of one area, but you feel the echoes of her voice all around. It's like filling up the entire mix. It's actually really interesting way they mixed it, and adds to her like kind of just her voice is like gravity. It's like a force. It's like an energy force that's just kind of dissipating into everything. And then another thing that I was thinking about is just how this, I think when I quickly like looked up the lyrics, as I always do. I didn't look at the lyrics, but I just pulled them up on Genius so we can go into them after. But I quickly, like, I saw in the corner of my eye that this came out in 1995. Now what's interesting is that when I'm listening to this, it comes across like a very classic sound. I don't know if it's the 70s, the 60s, but this doesn't sound like the 90s. You know, the 90s has a certain energy and aura about it. The 80s has a certain kind of style. This kind of, I think, reminds me of the 70s. I'm not sure. Like, do you guys know what I'm talking about? Let me know what era I think I'm thinking about. Let me know down below. But it's just, yeah, it's interesting. And I feel like she she's like from a different time. I feel like obviously like, and it's funny because Eurythmics, and this is the last thing I'll say, is it was such like, based on what I've heard by them, such a kind of poppy, like progressive sound, you know, a lot of keyboards, a lot of synth, you know what I mean? And then her solo career is very much like harkening back to like an older time, even before Eurythmics. So I find that interesting. But let's go back 10 seconds for you guys.
And a wider shade of fade.
I love when they bring in the drums in these simplistic songs.
You said there is no reason, and the truth is plain to see. But I wander through my blinkers and would not let it be. One of 16 vessel virgins who were leaving for the coast. And although my eyes were open, they might just as well been closed. And so it was later,
I like how the song builds.
as the miller told his tale, that her face at first just ghostly turned a wider shade of pale. And so it was later, as the miller told his tale, that her face at first just ghostly turned a wild shade of pale, a wider shade of pale, turn a wider shade of pale, a wider shade of pale.
And it has the plume from Diva. Wow. Wow, that was an incredible song. That really puts you into a trance. Like, it's like you could tell my mouth was just like open. Like for that, the whole second half of that song, I was just kind of enraptured. Yeah, her voice is truly remarkable. There's a couple things I really wanted to remember to say. The first one is that I think that Annie Lennox has an outstanding imagination, and if any artist would be able to create like a musical in their mind and create the soundtrack to a dramatic theatrical piece, like someone who could just envision an entire musical artistic production, I think it would be Annie Lennox, Kate Bush, and Tori Amos. Obviously Meatloaf, Jim Steinman. Jim Steinman of Meatloaf. But Annie Lennox, I think, would be able to create like a musical in their mind and create the soundtrack to a dramatic theatrical piece, like someone who could just envision an entire musical artistic production. I think it would be Annie Lennox, Kate Bush, and Tori Amos. Obviously Meatloaf, Jim Steinman of Meatloaf. but it is really a certain kind of talent that can do those kind of things. Like Annie Lennox is so artistic. And the second thing I was going to mention about Annie Lennox is her voice. I know I mentioned is rich, and you know that's very true. But what I kind of realized in this song that goes beyond richness about her is that her voice is very measured. It's very interesting. Like a lot of the time I'd say that as a negative. I'd say like I don't like singers that are their voice is so structured and pristine in a way. I like the more blazing passions, you know what I mean? But with her it's a huge compliment. That she can like her voice is like this, it's like a velvet arrow in some sense, you know what I mean? It's like some singers, their voice, they can't their voice is not defined like an arrow. And a lot of the time that's a compliment. It's like they just blow the lid off and their voice, their energy just goes everywhere. And a lot of the time I love that. And a lot of the time I like that more than a singer who kind of has a harder time expanding their voice but keeps it very straight. But with Annie Lennox is a huge compliment because there's such a defined artistic expression that I feel like she wants to create with this music. And that her voice, again, it's a velvet arrow. It's not just an arrow, because a lot of the time when it's an arrow, when it's too defined, it loses its grace. It loses its actually grace wouldn't be the word. It loses its power and so like it loses its passion. You know what I mean? It loses that expansive energy. Where like with this song, Annie Lennox, again with the kind of theatricality, the drama, I think she needed a more like, again, the way she sang the chorus, the like even when she would kind of do these vocal acrobatics, it would be so textured and specific. She knew exactly where she was leading that voice. It was like it was like an arrow. Like it was like a not an arrow, you know. I don't know if any of you guys have seen Avengers or whatever. But there's that one character who can like he can think with his mind and control where this arrow goes, and he can like have it wisp around. I find it, or like a drawing, like a pen on a paper or a painting. I feel she's like she can paint very specific lines, you know, and she can keep those lines in a certain frequency bandwidth. And that's just pure talent. Like, that's just incredible. And yeah, I don't know if anyone could do this song justice the way that she did. I feel like this is such an Annie song. I feel just the way she sang it and the way she bleeds into the song and how everything comes together. I feel like one thing with Annie Lennox in this song, at least, and I think a lot of the other ones too, is Annie Lennox doesn't necessarily overpower the music like a lot of artists do. I find Annie is amazing at maintaining equilibrium with the music, fading into the music in a sense, having herself become the music. You know what I mean? Is very cool. Yeah, she's a very unique artist. And like, you know, yeah, like Kate Bush and Tori Amos, they're incredibly unique too, but in different ways. I think Annie's, yeah, she's something else. Now let's see if there's anything that jumps out to me here. Did they say anything about the song? Okay, cool. What have the artists said about the song? In a 1995 preview of Medusa with The Independent, Annie Lennox explained why she covered. Oh, this is a cover. That maybe is why I feel like it kind of harkened back to a different time. Okay, this is what I was going to say too, but Annie Lennox, when she says there's a quaint story attached to this, I feel like some artists are really cool in that when they're singing the verses, sometimes they're telling a story, and at times I don't know where they're going. And then what I find cool is the chorus is like the exposition. The chorus is like the chorus is the time that you go, oh, this is the relatable part, that this is the part that I understand. And then it helps kind of make the verses understandable. And I find some cool artists do that. There's like their lyrics are a story, and they have story beats, like you're reading a novel or something, or a short story. And it's like they layer the meaning and they layer the exposition in a certain way that it's like it's just a very calculated story. But there's a quaint story attached to this. I went to an all-girls school school, and boys were a completely baffling area. By the age of 14, they had become a more consolidated interest. A party was arranged between my class and another, equally spotty, equally inept class of boys. We came together in a hotel room. Ooh. And I remember the whole thing very clearly. There was a record player in the room, and while the boys and the girls were liberally getting acquainted, she kind of talks like a Brit in that way, like very good use of words. I had somehow been assigned the task of playing the one hip record that everybody had, which happened to be a whiter shade of pale. Once the record ended, I had to keep putting the needle back, and that was my job for the night. Just putting the needle back and watching it go round and round. And these children, what did they know? These were the days of pre-sex, never mind safe sex. Wow. This was the first record I bought next to Mary Poppins. They sort of go together. Lyrically, it makes no sense and all sense at the same time. Soul meets the abstract space. I love it. That's really interesting. Soul meets the abstract space. Wow. She's very eloquent. She's a very good speaker. And I've said this before, sometimes I feel like some songs shouldn't have meanings that are easily understood because they're attacking your heart. They're attacking your emotions, your feelings. And those operate on a level outside of the mind in some sense. The moment you try to understand your feelings and your emotions, you actually no longer feel your feelings and your emotions. You are now above your feelings and your emotions, analyzing and observing, but no longer feeling. That's why, like, when you're crying, or like, let's take me, for example. If a song's making me cry and I start to try to think of why I'm crying, I stop crying, right? It's very simple. So literally the nature of emotions is that they're happening at an unconscious, subconscious level. And it's when you actually try to observe what's happening, you just get complete, like, it's not like it's a bad or a good thing. You're outside of your emotions now. You're no longer feeling. It's almost like some music, some movies, some TV shows. The less you think about it, the more you archetypally allow it through osmosis to affect you. That's when it hits you at this deep, profound level. And I now have to remind myself when these things happen, when I get really emotional, stop thinking. It's almost like by the time you say stop thinking, you've lost. Because now you're thinking about stop thinking. You literally have to, it's a weird thing. You have to almost meditate into the emotion in a weird way. You can't even battle your mind to stop your mind. You have to completely just allow yourself to be engulfed by the stimuli. Like it's pure stimuli at that point. And what's cool about this song is that what she said, it's like it's soul. It's like the words are vibrations. Like everything's vibration, right? Like words are vibration. And I think that, when I was growing up, a lot of time, like with swearing, I would swear a lot because I'm like, okay, it's just a word. Why do people get angry at words? And there's, I think, two reasons why people get angry at words, because of what the intention behind the word is. That's why you can say the F word in two ways. You can say it playfully and funny, or very angry and it carries a different meaning. So on one hand, it's not the words that mean anything, it's the intention behind the words. It's what you're trying to symbolize through the words. The second thing that actually, and this is deeper, that I've only understood more recently, that everything carries a vibration, and words also are like that. Cacophonies, words that have a harsh sound, like fuck, that's a harsh sounding word, the way it ends on that k, right? And then you get like these Italian words, these Italian names, these Spanish names, they end with vowels. They have a lot of vowels. They have a lot of, again, there's that open sound. Even when you think about singing, it's very difficult to have an extended note on the F word unless you're holding the extended note on the U, on the because that's open. But if you're trying to hold an extended note on the K, good luck. You can't do that. And again, what is my favorite way of singing? I love open notes. I love vowels. That's why I love words with lots of vowels, because there's so much you can do with that, right? Where the K, the K, is like you almost have to ground the note with the K. And again, that's not necessarily bad. It's just grounding. It's different than expanding, right? An open note is expanding. It fills your heart and your soul. Like you are just caught up, swept up in that emotion, and that's what I love. And then, but I also like, I do value, open it up, expand it, and then ground it. The last note of the chorus, when you come down on the chorus, you ground it. You ground it. And it's interesting. So it's like, from that standpoint, like, words do have vibrations. They have feelings. You know what I mean? When I, as much as I do swear, when I use the F word, I use it specifically a lot of the time for that reason. A lot of time, if I go like, man, that was fucking awesome. You know what I mean? I'm in some sense, I'm wanting to ground the emotion, right? Like, I could go, oh my God, this was incredible, like, you know what I mean? But for me, and just the way I'm wired, I find that doesn't impact me as much as when someone like grounds the emotion. It's like, it's stark, you know what I mean? It's like, boom, I'm like, whoa, like, wow, that was awesome, you know what I mean? It's the way you say it. And it's like, in that way, I think words do have power. And then what is a song? A collection of words. It's a collection of sounds. It's a collection of frequencies. It's a collection of, these things. And sometimes, you don't want to know what it is. You just want to get swept up in the way they're sung, Annie's beautiful voice, and just the sounds the words make. You know what I mean? The syllables, the characters. But this was very cool. And what are your favorite Annie Lennox songs? Let me know down below. What would you like to listen to next? And if none of the patrons choose anything, I'll be coming to you guys for some future ideas. And if you guys enjoyed the video and you want to help out with the YouTube algorithm, definitely leave a like and subscribe if you're digging all of the content. And if you guys enjoy anything I talk about in any of these videos, of course, I have a podcast, link down below. And lastly, I want to give a big shout out to my tier 3 patrons. So we got, of course, David, Melanie, Ayla, Charles, Jason, Kelly, Laura, Mans, Matt, Melissa, Merrick, Nora, Paul, Robbie, Scott, and Stuart. So shout out to all of you guys, and I'll see all of you guys again tomorrow. I love you. Peace.